Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a Victoria man faces sex abuse of a child charges in Lavaca County. A local job fair draws dozens of job seekers with hundreds of openings. And Governor Greg Abbott sends out the Texas National Guard to major cities as immigration protests grow.
We had another round of storms this morning, and guess what? We've got another round already developing out in West Texas. What time does it get here? We'll have all that coming up.
And full force gym Victoria prepares for U.S. Nationals Providence, Rhode Island next week. We'll see how all the gymnasts feel later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Shauna Curry has the night off. This is an alert day after an early morning storm. Let's go to Mac Pettis with a first look at the forecast. Mac, it's a little drier outside right now, but we really had a bunch of rain this morning.
Yes, we did. We had an additional 1 to 2 inches. We're going to show it to you as it passed through our area this morning. There it is, the big storms. But you notice they're also leaving our area and moving on up into northeast Texas. So that band is gone. The thing is, already tracking the development of the next cluster right about there. You can see the circulation, you can see the storms building up. That line is going to start moving and developing as it gets into central Texas, and then eventually it'll come visit us. So we still have more storms to expect, and by tomorrow we're probably going to be looking at some flooding as well. So we'll talk about that. We have an alert day flag up, and we'll have all that for you coming up in a few minutes. Don, back to you.
Mac, thank you. Seadrift Alderman Paul Gonzalez keeps his seat as a city council member there. A statement was sent to 25 News Now saying that Gonzalez performed duties that crossed a legal line. When he first glanced at the letter, he was fearful that he might have broken the law. Apparently, all requests need to go through Seadrift's city attorney before anything is released. A Victoria man faces a charge in Lavaca County of sexual abuse of a child continuous victim under the age of 14. Victoria Police Tuesday served an arrest warrant from Lavaca County on 48-year-old Augustine Pineda. He was at a business residence in the 2000 block of Port Lavaca Drive. Pineda was also charged with possession of drug paraphernalia. He is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of bonds totaling $250,350. At 7 this morning, Victoria Police contacted a parent about his missing daughters. An investigation found that his 16-year-old and 15-year-old daughters were last seen on Tuesday at about 5 p.m. at their home in the 900 block of Linwood Drive. The 15-year-old is 5'7", 180 pounds, with long, dark brown hair and a heart tattoo on her left hand and Devin, D-E-V-I-N, tattooed on the outside of her left thumb. The 16-year-old is 5'4", 150 pounds, with long, dark brown hair and a green and black rose tattoo on her left hand. There were no clothing descriptions provided for either. Both girls were entered as missing juveniles in the national and state databases. They left home without permission. Workforce Solutions hosted a job fair for those in need of a job. There were over 200 positions open and 125 job seekers at today's event. Workforce Solutions Director Henry Guajardo says you should look for a job that best suits your schedule and skills, along with something you enjoy.
We are very pleased that we had that many job seekers come out to apply for some of the positions that are currently open with these employers.
Job seekers are encouraged to stop by any of the workforce centers in the Crossroads. Here is your viewer poll today. What matters most when choosing a job? Is it a flexible schedule or good pay or doing something you enjoy or an opportunity to grow? Overwhelmingly from our voters, 62% say doing something you enjoy. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we'll have the latest results after Game 3 of the NBA Finals. The Texas National Guard was sent to San Antonio in anticipation of protests this week there as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers continue to conduct raids. Austin Mayor Kirk Watson confirmed the Texas National Guard may be called on to help Texas DPS during protests in Austin this weekend. On Tuesday night, Texas Governor Greg Abbott said he would deploy the Guard to locations across the state. Protests are planned throughout the week and into the weekend. In a social media post, Governor Abbott said the deployment was, quote, to ensure peace and order, unquote. Some of the Marines deployed to Los Angeles are expected to begin operations soon. President Trump sent them there in support of National Guard troops stationed at federal buildings in that city, where demonstrations are happening over immigration enforcement operations. Those protests are spreading to other cities as well.
After days of immigration protests, workers taking advantage of the lull today to clean up the streets and wash away graffiti. An 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew put in place for part of the downtown area ended this morning, but with less destruction and fewer clashes between protesters and authorities.
You should take note that the individuals that are here with me today are all leaders in their area, and we all stand in support and solidarity and call for the raids to end.
President Trump deploying more than 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines to Los Angeles. Their role in dispersing crowds has been minimal, but ICE posting these photos on their X account showing National Guardsmen providing protection for ICE agents on a raid in Los Angeles. Mayor General Scott Sherman is in charge of the troops. He says they can detain people, but local law enforcement will make any arrests.
And our mission is to protect federal agencies, our federal partners, their personnel as they conduct their federal mission.
Governor Gavin Newsom filed a motion Tuesday to stop troops from accompanying ICE on raids, which goes beyond protecting buildings, arguing it will escalate tensions.
What's happening right now is very different than anything we've seen before.
Trump on social media calling Newsom incompetent, accusing him of not protecting ICE officers in a timely manner. The Attorney General says the Justice Department will vigorously prosecute violent protesters. Pam Bondi disputing that President Trump's pardons for rioters who assaulted police during the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol creates a double standard in comparison with the administration's response to these protests.
Well, this is very different. These are people out there hurting people in California right now. This is ongoing.
The U.S. Attorney for Los Angeles saying today 2 men are being charged for their alleged roles in the protest violence. Emiliano Galvez and Rocky Kyoge are both accused of attempting to throw Molotov cocktails at police last weekend.
Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. The Port Lavaca City Council hosts a workshop to clarify its annual budget, and a dispatcher answers the calls of duty for almost 3 decades. You can read these stories and more at portlavacawave.com. As Texas sets to crack down on the recreational use of cannabis, state leaders are opting to invest in another plant with reported medicinal benefits. It's a psychedelic called ibogaine. Read this full Texas Tribune article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. A jury weighs in on Harvey Weinstein's Manhattan retrial. What happened in court and what's still to come, that's coming up on 25 News now at 6. Also ahead, changes could be coming to U.S. power plant pollution rules and why the EPA is moving to roll back key environmental regulations. New York jury returned a mixed verdict Wednesday in Harvey Weinstein's Manhattan retrial. The former Hollywood producer was found guilty on one sex crime charge, acquitted on another, and jurors could not reach a decision on a third. Weinstein's original 2020 conviction was overturned last year after an appeals court ruled some testimony should not have been allowed. He's already been convicted in a separate California case and is expected to begin serving a 16-year prison term there after this trial wraps up. The Trump administration says it has agreed to a new framework with a trade deal with China. It's expected to pave the way for a long-term trade agreement between the world's two largest economies. The talks come as a new report shows inflation ticked up slightly last month.
After 2 long days of negotiations between U.S. and Chinese trade officials in London and a phone call between Presidents Trump and Xi last week, leaders from both sides today are touting a new handshake deal.
We have agreed to fully comply with the Geneva Agreement as well. So the president is reviewing the details of that with his trade team now, and you'll hear more from him.
On social media, Trump says imports from China will now be subject to a hefty 55% tariff, though down from the 145% tax Trump announced in the height of his trade war. U.S. imports to China will face a 10% tariff, down from 125%. The negotiations come amid an uncertain economic forecast, a new report easing some concerns as inflation ticked up slightly as expected, 0.1% over 1 month, up 2.4% since 1 year ago.
Most importantly, we are decelerating cost increases for shelter, food, and energy.
Most of Trump's tariffs are on pause pending negotiations, and most economists agree an increase in tariffs will lead to an increase in prices on everyday goods. As for the deal with China, the administration says it also reversed course on Trump's threat to revoke visas for Chinese students. And the president adds China has agreed to supply key rare earth minerals up front, used in everything from cell phones to car batteries. China has not specified the terms it agreed to. Talks between the U.S. and Canada have intensified over the past few weeks, according to Canada's CTV News, which adds a framework appears to be in the works, though a timeline is still unclear. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Pollution limits for power plants may soon be rolled back. EPA Chief Lee Zeldin announced a plan to scrap 2 key Biden-era regulations. One targets carbon emissions from current and future power plants. The other limits air toxins from coal-burning facilities. The repeal plan will now go through a public comment period before final decisions are made. Power plants account for about a quarter of U.S. climate pollution. Here's some of the top headlines you can read in the Quero Record. Westhoff ISD is expanding to include a high school, and a DeWitt County investigator finishes FBI training. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com.
Well, good evening, everyone. We still have the alert flags up, yes, because between Thursday and Friday, we expect another round of stormy weather to roll through the area. So pretty much all the counties looking for heavy rainfall and flooding possible. Now that we've had, all these 2 rounds of rain, 3, we're likely to see a little heavy rain cause some quick flooding. So we're just going to have to be cautious as we go on to the weekend. We'll be talking about it after this. Well, I'm sure you know where your umbrella is now. I'm still looking for mine. So we made it out okay this morning. We got a good 1 to 2 inches of rain. Right now we're at 86 with a little partly cloudy out there. The 86 is actually our highest temperature because of the cloud cover and the rain. We are normally at around 92. We've been as high as 103, and we had 6,900s officially out at the airport, but we did get a few totals that were higher than that. There you see the rain from this morning pull away and the cloud deck thin out, and all of a sudden the atmosphere is sort of resting right now. But I put these lines in there. These are the upper winds, and this is lower pressure. Imagine this is step 1, and then step 2 is higher, and step 3 is higher, and step 4 is higher. So the lowest step is where the lowest pressure is, and that's where the next cluster of storms is beginning to develop. You can see it right about there. So this is where it's going to fire up, and then we do expect it to start rolling toward us and get here again tomorrow morning. So 4th time now. Interesting. On the east side of the city, we got 1.53 out in Nursery up on 87, Highway 87. 1.28, and in Seadrift down, they got an inch of rain down there as well. So at this hour, we're clear, and there's the storm that came through this morning, and you can see how it all rolling eastward following those upper winds. But we go back to the beginning, and this is where the area of lower pressure is likely to fire up some more. Now, right now is, shall we say, prime development time, because two things happen. Either the afternoon heating strengthens it, or the movement of the low, let's say it's going from there to there, that will also strengthen the storms as well. So that is what I expect overnight. And so tomorrow morning, I wouldn't be surprised if you hear more thunder and lightning. All right, now here's San Marcos, here's San Antonio, and this is what I really wanted to show you. This is great news. Look at that. 2, 3, 4 inches of rain. Where? In the hill country. There's Kerrville, exactly where we need it for our lakes and for our rivers. And then, of course, down here, there's Cuero, there's Victoria. You can see how we got a good measure of rain here and there, and all of that, a lot of that in the Guadalupe River Valley. So tomorrow, we still have a chance, a marginal chance of getting additional severe weather in the areas. What is severe? It's not just a garden variety shower. It would be a thunderstorm, thunder, lightning, and heavy rain. So some of that's possible in this region in the bright green that you see right about there. And then by the time we get to the weekend, things start slowly settling down. Now, I'm waiting for this thing to oh, there it is, there it is. There you see the development. This is what Future Tracker thinks is going to happen. It's going to kick up, it's going to weaken out a little, other sea breeze coming in, stormy weather, and then these two get together in the afternoon for additional showers. So we are not out of the woods just yet. In fact, we do expect to see more stormy weather rolling around here. Now here's the low that I mentioned that is causing this instability. Where does it go? Well, it starts to move a little bit, all right? So that when we get to Thursday, should be over northeast Texas, and then on by Friday, it does begin to pull away. But at that time, even though we may have higher pressure, we've got so much moisture on the ground that we're likely to trigger off a few showers because of heating, but it'll be less and less as we get to the weekend. Thunderstorms in the morning, Port Lavaca, 83. Cuero, you're going to get thunderstorms again tomorrow, high of 82. How many alert flags do we have? 1, 2, 3. And then by Sunday, we should start seeing more sun and fewer isolated afternoon showers. That is your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. And of course, it's hurricane season. So when the storm hits and the power goes out, will your family be ready? You got to be storm ready with, and thanks to the help from Aztec Ford in Goliad, we're going to give away a chance to win a free generator to keep your house powered up when you need it the most. It's very easy, and it could save you obviously a lot if the power goes out. So go to crossroadstoday.com to register for a Storm Ready Power giveaway. Now it's proudly sponsored by Aztec Ford and Goliad. Go to the menu at the top. There's 3 little bars, and click on that. It'll take you to entertainment. Then click on that, and it'll take you to contest. And then you'll see this graphic that you see in front of you with the word power. Click on that, put in your name and address, and see who wins. That's your forecast. We'll toss it back to Don.
Mac, thank you. And Max Williams is here. The big question for you, Max, are the Generals going to play at home tonight after all this rain?
I mean, looking at it right now, Don, it looks like they are still ball game on right now there at Riverside. So again, they're facing the Seguin River Monsters there tonight again for a big cause. I'll tell you all about that though coming up in sports. In just a couple of days, Full Force Gym will head over to U.S. National Championships there out of Providence, Rhode Island. It'll be from June 16th through the 22nd in Full Force, turning 3 national champions there in Jaden McCarter, Kendall Helms, and River Taylor to this year's Nationals for trampoline and tumbling. But before they attend Rhode Island next week, I had a chance earlier to speak with 2 of these national champs, in Kendall and River, and see what their final preparations are in next week's competition.
Nervous, especially since I won last year, so I kind of want to live up to that. I want to do my passes and hope for the best.
Passes feel good, and because I changed my double mini passes.
Fun fact, Chad Gangway has that athlete win nationals for past 24 years, and he's looking to keep adding that. He's got 2 other people to keep an eye on as well, and Allie Boffman and Elizabeth Creamer. So we'll see if they represent well for Full Force there next week in Rhode Island. Now over to some football action where this weekend there'll be a nice little all-star game. It's going to be held there Saturday in Stafford, Texas. Now before this game takes place there this Saturday, I caught up with 3 of the stars there in Darius Garcia, Adrila Vargas, and Devin McKinney about how they're feeling about going into this all-star game this weekend.
And just put in work, because the hard work will pay off, so just keep working out and paying attention.
Definitely academics. Academics is key. And I'm really just trying to get it on JV because I know it's kind of hard to make a varsity as a freshman, but academics is always first.
From the older guys and just seeing what they do and just watch from the sideline and be ready when my name is called out.
Now, all 3 of these athletes, I mentioned the same question, different responses, and I love those answers that they all had because guess what? They're going in this all-star game. Got a lot of heads going high, and they'll be all going to West for their freshman year there in just 2 months. Now, how about over the Victoria Generals? They're back in action tonight at home versus Seguin River Monsters on first pitch. We'll be here in about 30 minutes time. Tonight is a special night, though, there at the ballpark, as it'll be Wounded Warriors night. They'll be wearing on the back of their jerseys there a guy that was there, Bradley Grunzer. He unfortunately there committed suicide there last July, and he volunteered there for Warriors Weekend. He lost his arm there in combat as well in Iraq. Again, right there, they'll be showcased on those jerseys tonight for all those players, and also for the Generals. They want to raise about $40,000 for Warriors Weekend this week. So please go out and attend tonight's ball game and honor those who serve in our great country as well. And now, how about the NCAA Track and Field Championship, which begins tonight at Oregon there in Eugene. And it's day 1 competition. The event started about 20 minutes ago there on ESPN. And 2 former crossroad track athletes in the Furios, Ernest Flash Campbell and Goliath's Cutler Zamzow, are competing there. Again, for Campbell, he's competing in the 4x100 meter relay and the open 100 meter dash. Then Zamzow will compete in the 4x400 and open 400 meter dash. So if both Campbell and Zamzow place well here tonight, they will be going to the finals there on Friday. That'll be on ESPN there June 13th and compete for Texas A&M University. And how about finally tonight right here on KVU TV, we begin Game 3 of the NBA Finals between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. Tip-off will be at 7:30 p.m. and this series pivots over to Indiana, where the Pacers look to get that 2-1 series lead there at home. We'll have it right here on KVU there later tonight. And that's going to do it in sports. Don, back to you.
Max, thank you. We're back in a moment. The U.S. Postal Service is commemorating a former First Lady who would have turned 100 years old this past weekend. Finally tonight, the U.S. Postal Service is honoring Barbara Bush, the wife of one president and mother of another. The late First Lady would have turned 100 this past Sunday. Former President George W. Bush and his wife Laura were there for the official dedication of the Forever Stamp. The former president called his mother the best First Lady ever. Bush is the 8th First Lady to be honored on a postage stamp. The Hurricane Tracking Guide 2025 is here. Stay prepared and stay safe. Pick up your free copy at these locations: Fulapep and Cuero, El Campo Cycle Center, Palace Bingo in Victoria, Coastal Bend College in Beeville, Wendt Services in Victoria, Victoria All Sports, and Aztec Ford in Goliad. Do not wait. Get yours today. I say that with some urgency, even though there is nothing going on in the Gulf, but just to the case.
Yeah, well, this you know, we want the rain. Now we got the rain. So what happens if a storm arrives now? We got too much rain.
You're asking me? I don't know.
Well, it's a rhetorical question.
I see, okay.
It's a rhetorical question.
Weatherman asking weather questions.
What happens if we do get a lot of rain? That's the question, because now we're pretty saturated. That's why we think that by tomorrow, we should start seeing a little bit of flooding out there. So do watch out for low water crossings, you know, low spots with, you know, the water will run over. Of course, we expect the stormy weather to come in overnight. As we get to the weekend, we'll start clearing up and getting a little bit quieter.
Thank you, Mac, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight for 25 News Now after the NBA Finals.